Okay, this is section 2.6, the last thing in the quadratics chapter, and there's not a huge amount I can say about this. It's likely to be one of the shorter videos in this series. Mathematical modelling is a really important idea, and you'll discuss it more in the statistics and mechanics part of the course, and you'll find that a lot of the pure chapters end with a section on what we just studied with modelling. Okay, so modelling with quadratics or modelling with, I don't know, simultaneous equations or something like that. As far as we're concerned, the thing to do for the moment is let's just think about it as a model is an in-context question. Okay, so if you take this one, we've got a spear thrown over as a horizontal ground from the top of a tower. The height in meters of the spear above the ground after t seconds is this. So look, if we look at this, it's a quadratic. So it's a formula that links h and t. H is height and t is the time. Okay, so the constant term there, well, the constant term will tell us if you put t equal to 0, that's the thing that will be left. So when t equals 0, it tells us the height. All right, so that's why it's the height of the tower. After how many seconds does the spear hit the ground? Well, when it hits the ground, the height is 0. So put h equal to 0, find out what the values of t are, and when we do that, we end up with a -1 and a +1. And because this is a model, we need to interpret that within the model. T can't be negative because t is a time in seconds, right? Write h of t in this form. Well, that's a pure maths question. Let's just take that and complete the square. And then using your answer, find the maximum height of the spear above the ground. And you should be by now thinking, maximum height, maximum value for quadratic, that's completed square form. And I can deal with that by thinking, well, this thing is squared. So A, take away something positive. So the A part is going to be the maximum height, which turns out to be 23.275 meters. And when does it happen? Well, it happens when this bracket here equals 0, so when t equals 1.5. So we're using a bit of common sense, we're reading the information that we've got in the question, and we're using techniques from the chapter. And that's what's always going to happen with modelling questions. There isn't a great deal of help I can give you because I could go through all these questions and do model solutions, but actually that's not you learning it. What you need to do is try the question, get stuck on it, and then come back and talk about it with somebody else who can, if you're completely stuck, somebody else can give you a nudge in the right direction. The process of you being stuck on these questions is your brain sort of trying things out. As long as you eventually then get an answer, that process will help your long-term understanding of this. So there isn't any new mathematical ideas with the modelling. We're sticking together ideas from all sorts of places. The idea of mathematical modelling is very important, but for our purposes here, just think of it as they are going to give you some questions which are in context questions, and some of those questions are going to be quite tricky. Don't panic if you get stuck on them. It's the last thing. A lot of people get stuck on this part of the chapter. If you've got all the techniques in place, you'll get there eventually, as long as you give yourself enough time to practice it and enough time to come back to these questions. So if you get stuck one day, come back, and I'm sure your teacher can provide you with more modelling type questions on quadratics. There are enough in the universe to provide you with enough to practice. Good luck with those ones.